Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. The controversial new short documentary film Charmin Wipes Out a Forest is a wonderful, surprisingly comic, in-depth expose of the massive deforestation required to deliver the nation's most popular bath tissue brand, and that would be from Procter & Gamble. It's called, well, everyone knows Charmin. We've seen the ads for a long, long time, and they've managed to ingratiate themselves into the American public for many, many years through their somewhat funny and charming, if you will, if that's the right word to use in this context, brands. And the new documentary, Charmin Wipes Out a Forest, is something that you should seek out. It will be on a tour across 23 cities in the U.S. and I'm sure beyond. We're joined today by the director of Charmin Wipes Out a Forest, and that would be Steve Mims, as well as the producer, Brian Rodgers. To both of you, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
From the opening few seconds of the film, it draws you right in. That's sort of in this unexpectedly funny approach to a very serious issue about deforestation and the environment and so much more. What inspired to take this sort of tact on telling this particular story? Steve?
Well, Procter & Gamble invented the soap opera, and that came out of our research. And once we realized that, and in the documentary, you have a certain amount of exposition that people have to get before you can get into the meat of everything. We felt that would be a fun way to frame the whole film, to do our own little soap opera and address corporate issues and narrative issues in that bit, and to put people in there and try to make it humorous and also surprising, so that the first image is like a car crash on a television screen. There's a shark, there's all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of what feels like a soap opera. And that was the idea, is to get something to use that. And then in the body of the film, we come back and tell people, that Procter & Gamble invented the soap opera. And just like the bears that you mentioned, they're just masters at taking something as banal as toilet paper and then reframing it so that you don't even, well, they allow you to think about it a little bit, because they're talking about how successful they are with having a nice bottom, but they do a great job of like making that at a distance somehow and somewhat humorous with those bears. And so we thought, like, well, this is the approach to take, because why not use their idea of a different approach to an environmental film and use that for our purposes? I mean, they're smart enough to talk about toilet paper in a way that nobody else did. Why don't we do the same thing, and then be able to satirize that also in the film? So that was it, and really the desire to make a film. I mean, when somebody tells you should watch a film about toilet paper, it doesn't sound that exciting. And so we thought, like, we really want to have people not give up on it, like to get started and then hang in there until the end, and have it not be a bad experience for people. And in the end, not have it to be a depressing experience. Like, the message of the film is, here's an issue that you didn't know about. You might be complicit in making it worse, but you can do something about it. So there are a lot of environmental films that just leave you feeling like a turd, because you feel like, well, it's one more intractable problem. I now feel bad about it, and that's it. But our thing is like, yeah, you can do something, and it's not hard. You just have to do the American thing. The most American thing you can do is to buy something. The second most American thing you can do is to not buy something. You just don't buy this, and buy something that's more friendly to the planet. So that was it.
Yeah, I oftentimes, to your point, I feel like I'm standing on the beach and there's a tidal wave heading right at me when I watch some documentaries about the things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't run fast enough towards it or away from it to get to save, to seemingly save ourselves from whatever it is that they're talking about. And sometimes sometimes subjects in a documentary lend themselves to doing it
Right.
that way. But it's really so clever. My hats off to you for the people that you use in the film, the actors that perform in the
Hmm.
film who really sell it. I mean, just they do a great job of
Yeah.
being the people that they're supposed to be to get you to move forward. I'm going to get to Brian Rodgers in a second in terms of he's the producer, but one other thing is this used to be much more of a tradition, I'll say in the 70s and into the 80s, where people were motivated to boycott, to do consumer-based protests. It feels like we've gotten away from that in a lot of ways, and this is certainly a wake-up call, and I think this will really resonate with people. I do think watching this, why wouldn't you do otherwise after you watch this film? Brian,
Hmm.
you came into the project, I understand, not as a filmmaker, but somebody who's versed in these issues that are in Charmin Wipes Out a Forest. Tell us a little bit about how you came into the project.
All right. Well, I also had so we did a prior film against Home Depot for using making plywood out of the Ecuadorian rainforest. So we made a little short film and we circled their headquarters with a mobile billboard and full page ad in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution during the shareholders meeting. And then we got invited to Atlanta and we sat down with the VP of Sustainability and showed them how their supplier was eating out the heart of the last 3% of this rainforest. And so they did the right thing and they turned to their supplier and said, when can you stop harvesting from this area? We focused on one product. We didn't vilify Home Depot. We said this sand apply had a problem. So then after we were successful there, then a contact with the NRDC, Shelley Vineyard was telling me about Charmin and what it's doing to the boreal and the Canadian forest. And so we figured we would take that template that we were successful and just go after one product and then see if we can change people's buying habits. Because Procter& Gamble is not about to change. I mean, there's been environmental groups, Greenpeace, Stand.Earth, the NRDC, for 2 or 3 decades, but they're very intransigent. And so really this is the way that we're going to have to get them to change. Or if they don't change, we'll just change people's buying habits.
There is, as you mentioned, there's we have people, experts, subject experts who weigh in during the course of the film. They're all terrific. I mean, I can't underscore this enough. Not only is the tone of the film something that invites you in, but also the people that you have brought in to explain the situation and the issues and how we can do better. They're all very versed and they deliver the information in a way that, again, invites you in to be a participant in making this a better world.
Yeah, we're lucky. I mean, Brian found a lot of great people, and they all are really competent. We did the interviews are a lot longer than we cut down. Maybe the best person is Dominic DeSalo. Is that right? Right, DeSalo,
Delasala. Uh-huh.
DeSalo, who's
The
who
scientists,
lives
right?
in Oregon, the scientist,
Yeah.
and the guy. We had done a Zoom call with him, and at the end of the call, I told Brian we have to go film him because he is he's like this Renaissance man. He is really, really well known as a scientist. He has his own rock cover band, and the guy's just dynamic, and he is engaged in a way that a lot of scientists aren't. I mean, they're engaged, but they don't know how to express it. The guy's just a natural. And so every time he's in there, it's so authentic what he has to say, and he's obviously authoritative, and all those people are. So it was a pleasure to, the best thing about these films is you get to go places you never thought you would go, and you get to meet people that otherwise you would never have met, and a lot of times they're the most brilliant people in their field. And so, like the same thing here, like it's really, really fun to spend time with them, and then in person, and then in the editing room, try to cut all that down. So yeah, it was a blast.
I want to let people know a couple of things. They can find out more about the film by going to charminkillsforests.org. That's the
Right,
website for the
Correct.
film.
right,
There's
right.
also a Facebook presence and Charmin Kills Trees, and then Instagram Charmin Kills Forest. So once you go to the website, you can navigate your way around to the other things. Now let's go to really, I haven't spent enough time describing this particular situation where Charmin is cutting down old growth trees or cutting trees in what the boreal forest in Canada. Which let's give the dimensions of this and how important it is to the ecology, not just of Canada, but of the world in terms of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the boreal is actually is the forest that's rings the top of the earth, through Russia and all that. But we're talking about the Canadian boreal, and there's trillions of trees there, but it's the lungs of the earth, and there are, as the Audubon fellow Jeff Wells said, there's 3 to 5 billion birds, billion with a B, are breeding up in Canada, and then they come down cross into the U.S. and populate our backyards all the way down into the tropics, and they go back and forth. It's an amazing migration, and this habitat destruction and degradation is causing some bird populations to plummet, and that we cannot let happen.
God help us, between the cutting down of their habitat and insecticides and all kinds of craziness that they deal with as they fly south
Mhm.
is unfathomable, and we are really in danger of losing our future if we don't do a better job moving forward with this, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So the process is they clear cut the forest and they drag the trees to the side of the road, and chip whole trees and send those chip trucks to the pulp mill, and that's how toilet paper's made. But in the clear cut forest, they burn all the extra slash, they call it, all the branches and stuff they didn't use, and then they plow it with a disc plow, which was the forest floor with all of its mycorrhizal networks that have been there since time, and then they spray the whole field of clear cut with glyphosate, a Roundup, because they want to kill all of the competition to what they're trying to grow back, which is these conifers, 2 or 3 species of conifers that they can grow and then and cut them again in 50 years. So
So
they take an
those
intact,
are tree farms. So they call them tree farms, right?
basically tree plantations. Now they don't want to
Okay.
use that. They don't want to say tree plantations because Canada will argue that there is no deforestation because once you clear cut it, it'll just grow back. Well, yeah, it'll grow back, but what's growing back was not the viable biodiverse forest that was there. And with all the logging roads, it's basically it's industrial forestry at that point.
A couple of statistics, and that I think every day Charmin users flush 38,000 trees. I just, sit on that for a second.
Mhm.
38,000 trees every day.
Mhm.
And that's just people who use Charmin, and you can go into, I'm sure a lot of the other toilet paper manufacturers are guilty in some degree of this practice. 14 million trees each year are industrial clear cut. These are staggering numbers, but the fire in Paradise that was horrific and burnt very quickly and completely out of control very quickly. There was a tree farm at the top of that ridge, just like you're
Mhm.
describing, or a tree plantation as you're describing.
Right, right.
Right? That just and that was what staggered the any hope of bringing that fire under control was because this was like a bomb going off at the top of the ridge below, above Paradise, California.
Wow,
And
wow.
yeah, and so that's one of the main reasons why that happened. And but we have that same situation going on in Canada right now. We just last summer and now again, I believe we're dealing
Mhm.
with huge fires coming out of Canada.
The pressure, so if 25% of the market is held by Charmin in the North America, that's about 75 million people. So you can imagine that's a lot of bottoms to wipe and a lot of pressure on the forest. And when they grow this sort of a monocrop plantation back, the cooling nature of having broadleaf plants and bushes, and all that, instead, as Dominic De La Sala calls them, they replace them with frankenforest,
Yeah.
planted close together, and it's a drier forest, and that's where we, responsible for some of the intensity of these wildfires.
Steve Mims, you are
Mhm.
heading out on a tour. I believe you're going to begin some version of this 23 city video
Mhm.
truck tour. Let's talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that. And so maybe people can come out and watch the film or talk to you or get involved in some way.
We premiered the film in Austin on July 1st. And then a few days later, we left Austin and we went to Waco, Fort Worth, Dallas, Texarkana,
Bentonville.
the Bentonville, the home of Walmart. for a few days, and then we went on to Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, and in Louisville, and right now we're in Cincinnati, Ohio, the home of Procter and Gamble. And so we have this giant truck that has video screens on it, and we can play slides, we can play the trailer, we can play the whole movie, and it has speakers. And so yesterday we drove around the Procter and Gamble headquarters, trying to make a minor nuisance of ourselves. And we had written a letter, Brian had written a letter to our contact at P&G to ask to meet with them or any representative they have. And so far we haven't heard anything from them. We didn't really think that that would happen. That tour is going to continue. We're going to eventually be in New York City next week, and then we're going to Massachusetts for an opening of an exhibition about the boreal, and then we're going to work our way back down through North Carolina, Atlanta, back down to the deep south, and then eventually back to Austin. So we're trying to, in a short period of time, make as much awareness as we can about this issue and drive as many people to the movies. So as you mentioned, the website is like the repository for all the information about the film. The film is on YouTube right now, and we're trying to get people to go there because small way, the number of views that we get for that will help us in the perceived value of the film by Procter and Gamble. So it's a small thing. It's a beginning of the film. We said, we have to quote from the Dalai Lama that if you think you can't do a small thing, I'm paraphrasing, but make change, think about what it's like to be in a tent with a mosquito. And so we're the mosquito, and we're trying to, in our own small way, generate as much awareness as we can in a short period of time. And so we have a screening in North Carolina. We had a screening in Dallas. Otherwise, we'll be showing it on the truck, and we'll be meeting with people and just trying to engage with them.
Yeah.
And so far as we know, nobody's ever done this. Like, it's the first time to try to go out and flog a movie to death with a truck. And we've really had a great time. We keep meeting great people, very friendly people. We've only been kicked out of a few places. It's part of the territory, really.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I can imagine it's kind of a party when you're screening this because it's such an engaging and funny and thoughtful and informative film. I mean, there's just a lot to like here. And good, it was, in the words of John Lewis, you're making some good trouble out there. And I like that. I like that you're doing this. I like the way you've gone about it. I really think you're going to, the whole point is to make people aware. And, if you can do it, either make them laugh or make them cry, you're going to make them laugh. And then they are going to take this information in and they're not going to forget it. This is the kind of thing you can't unsee. I really do believe that when you watch it. So I met Helen Caldicott, who was an anti-nuke activist many years ago, met her. And she told me, and I don't know if this is absolutely true, but in Australia, at least 20, 30 years ago, they used to use cloth to wipe their bum. And then they would wash, obviously, they put it in the washer and reuse it. So and again, I don't think this is something that the Americans are willing to adopt as a practice, but there are ways around this. You can buy more, environmentally responsible products. That's one way. But I always thought, that's not such a bad idea. I mean, I don't know how people.
Let me talk about that briefly, because in the movie we had Mickey Agarwal, who founded Hello Tushy, the little bidet company. It's just like an $80 attachment under your toilet seat. She sold $200 million worth of them.
Okay.
So there, that the bidet, the attachment or a full bidet is a way to go. But there's also recycled in bamboo. It's really just fiber, and so we cultivate the U.S. 100 million acres of corn every year, and you have corn fiber stalks, and then 50 million acres of wheat, and then we have sugarcane fiber, and there's some already toilet paper made out of sugarcane fiber, and then we have 60 million tons of paper and cardboard that are landfilled every year. So there's no shortage of things to wipe our bottoms with. We're not going to use a bidet, and so there are solutions if they choose to direct their sophisticated production lines.
Yeah, we just can't keep doing this. This is unsustainable. What we're doing, not just Procter and Gamble, whoever, this is not sustainable, just isn't.
Right.
And
Right.
so at some point, the sooner we start doing these things, the better off we'll all be. And your film is just wonderful. I'm so happy for you. I really am. I mean, it got me, like I said, it grabbed me right away watching the
Good.
film. I just like, that's great. This is going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it. Great actors, funny, get to the point. It was great. Charmin wipes out a forest. Yeah, don't find this. It's on YouTube, or join up on the 23 city tour, or figure it out. You join in this party because it's something we all need to do. I want to thank our guest today, the director, Steve Mims, as well as the producer, Brian Rodgers. Thank you both for your time, and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank
for
you
having
so
us
much.
on.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.